Every startup exists within a battlefield. Too many founders convince themselves they're building something so unique that no competitors exist. But the reality is, every startup has competition, whether it's a direct rival, indirect alternative, or even the customer's choice to do nothing. Understanding the competitive landscape is not optional, it's survival. For investors, a founder who cannot clearly articulate their competitive ecosystem raises immediate red flags. They wonder, does this founder really understand their market? Are they prepared to differentiate their offering? Do they know where the threats lie and where the opportunities can be seized? This is why frameworks like competitive landscape mapping and SWOT analysis are so essential. They not only help you position your startup effectively, but they also signal to investors that you have done the hard work of understanding the battlefield you are about to enter. Competition analysis matters because, first, no vacuum exists. Every customer you hope to win already has ways to solve their problem. They may be using another startup, a traditional company, or even manual processes. But make no mistake, they are not waiting idly for you to arrive. Second, there are three types of competition you must account for. Direct competitors are the obvious ones, the companies offering the same solution to the same problem. Indirect competitors are subtler. They solve the same problem but with different methods or technologies. And then there are substitutes, which include the status quo, customers sticking with their existing processes or doing nothing at all. Many founders underestimate the power of inertia. Often, your biggest competitor is not another company, but the customer's reluctance to change. Third, competition analysis drives strategic positioning. By understanding the strengths and weaknesses of rivals, you can find the white space, the underserved niches, or overlooked opportunities where your product can shine. Finally, competition analysis builds investor confidence. When you show that you know the players in your industry, the gaps in the market, and the strategies that will differentiate you, you reduce perceived risk. Investors don't expect you to have no competition. They expect you to understand it better than anyone else. One of the most useful ways to understand competition is by mapping the competitive landscape. The first step is to identify your direct competitors. These are the companies solving the same problem with the same approach, targeting the same customers. If you are building a ride hailing app, your direct competitors are other ride hailing apps. Next, identify your indirect competitors. These companies address the same customer problem but through different methods. For example, if your startup offers ride hailing, public transit might be considered an indirect competitor. Both solve the transportation problem, but in different ways. Then, consider the status quo. This includes manual processes or DIY solutions. Customers might currently be solving the problem by doing nothing new, relying on outdated methods or patching together workarounds. Often, this is the biggest hill you must climb, convincing customers to change their behavior at all. Finally, use analysis tools to visualize the competitive landscape. Competitive grids, magic quadrants, and market maps all help position your startup relative to rivals. These visuals reveal where white space exists and help you define your unique value proposition. The pro tip here is to include at least 8 to 12 competitors across all categories. Too few, and investors will think you haven't done your research. Too many, and you may dilute your message. The goal is to demonstrate comprehensive understanding without overwhelming the narrative. Once you have mapped your competitors, another powerful tool is the SWOT analysis, an acronym for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This framework combines internal self-reflection with external market analysis. Strengths are the internal advantages your startup possesses today. This could include unique capabilities, proprietary technology, or founder expertise. The key is that these are assets competitors cannot easily replicate. Weaknesses are the internal limitations holding you back. These might be resource constraints, lack of brand recognition, or gaps in operational capacity. Being honest here is crucial. Pretending you have no weaknesses destroys credibility. Opportunities represent the external market conditions that favor growth. These can include emerging technology trends, regulatory shifts, growing customer dissatisfaction with incumbents, or new cultural preferences. Threats are the external risks that could damage your business. Competitive pressure, regulatory hurdles, economic downturns, or evolving customer behaviors all fall into this category. SWOT is simple, but when used honestly and strategically, it becomes a powerful lens for guiding both founders and investors. The key to making SWOT meaningful lies in execution. First, be honest and specific. Avoid generic buzzwords like innovative or agile. Instead, use concrete examples. If your strength is a proprietary algorithm, explain how it increases customer accuracy by 30%. Second, focus on customer impact. Internal capabilities only matter if they translate into real value for customers. If your team has deep AI expertise, explain how the expertise improves outcomes for your users. Third, turn weaknesses into strategy. Don't hide your limitations. Frame them as areas of investment or partnership. If you lack distribution, acknowledge it and explain your plan to partner with established players. Weaknesses are not fatal if you have a credible plan to address them. Fourth, define strategic priorities. Use opportunities as a guide for allocating resources. No opportunities are equal. Focus on the ones with the highest impact and the most achievable path. When used this way, SWOT stops being a static table and becomes a dynamic roadmap. It tells the story of where you are strong, where you are vulnerable, where you can grow, and what you must guard against. To see how SWOT works in practice, let's look at Airbnb in its early days. For strengths, Airbnb leaned on its community-driven trust system, affordable accommodation options, and unique local experiences. Their asset-light business model, owning no real estate but enabling hosts to monetize their homes, was another major strength. For weaknesses, Airbnb faced zero brand recognition, limited inventory supply, and no customer service infrastructure. Regulatory uncertainty also loomed, as cities had yet to decide how to treat short-term rentals. For opportunities, they capitalized on rising global travel demand, dissatisfaction with high hotel prices, and the rapid adoption of mobile technology. They also benefited from the broader trend toward the experience economy, where travelers sought authentic local experiences over generic hotels. For threats, Airbnb confronted hotel industry pushback, regulatory battles, safety concerns, and the potential impact of economic recession. This clear SWOT analysis guided Airbnb's strategy. They doubled down on building trust mechanisms like verified profiles and review systems to counteract safety concerns. They also focused on achieving network scale because the more hosts they onboarded, the more attractive they became to travelers. These two priorities, trust and scale, were the critical factors that ultimately fueled Airbnb's marketplace success. The lesson here is that SWOT, when done honestly, doesn't just summarize your position, it guides your strategy. It reveals where to invest, where to defend, and where to grow. Every startup must recognize that competition is inevitable. Pretending you have none is a mistake. Acknowledging and analyzing it is a strength. By mapping your competitive landscape, you reveal the players, the alternatives, and the status quo you're up against. By conducting a SWOT analysis, you confront your internal realities and external risks with honesty. For investors, these exercises demonstrate that you understand the battlefield. They don't expect you to be invincible. They expect you to know your strengths, acknowledge your weaknesses, seize opportunities, and prepare for threats. For founders, these tools provide clarity and focus. They help you position your startup effectively, design strategies that resonate with customers, and allocate resources to the battles that matter most. The ultimate insight is this: competition isn't something to fear, it's something to master. By using frameworks like competitive mapping and SWOT, you don't just survive the battlefield, you position yourself to win it.